Chapter 6, Combustion and Flame. Part 1. Introduction. We use different kind of fuels for various purposes at home and in the industry for running the automobiles. You are very much familiar with the petrol, diesel, CNG, all these things, etc. So these are the different kind of the fuels which we are using in our day-to-day life for running the automobiles. Okay, you are familiar with the burning of the candle, which is also one kind of the heat energy. What is the difference between the burning of the candle and the burning of a fuel like coal? There are two differences in this chapter that we'll see over here. What is flame and what is burning? Maybe you were able to guess right. Candle burns with a flame whereas coal does not. That means in the candles you can see there is fire, but in coal you cannot see the fire, only the fog will be produced or the smoke will be produced. Similarly, you will find many other materials burning without a flame, like coal. Let us study the chemical process of the burning and the types of flame producing during this process. In this chapter, we will see the chemical process of the flame and burning of the fuel. What is combustion? As you can see in this diagram, one magnesium is basically flaming. You can see there is no flame, but a smoke is coming out of that. You might have seen this practical in the class 7. We can perform a similar activity with a piece of charcoal. Hold the piece with a pair of tongs and bring it near the flame of a candle or a Bunsen burner. What do you observe? You can observe that a coal is basically burning without a flame, but some smoke is coming out of the charcoal. We find that charcoal burns in the air because it requires some oxygen also. That's why charcoals burn in the air also. We know that coal too burns in air, producing carbon dioxide, heat and light. That means whenever the charcoal burns, it doing the process like carbon dioxide. That means the whatever the smoke is coming out, that is black color, which is carbon dioxide. It is also heat and light also produced. Chemical process in which a substance react with oxygen to give off the heat is called the combustion. So what is combustion? This is the chemical process which react with the oxygen, that is give off the heats. The substance that undergoes combustion is said to be combustible. It is also called a fuel. So what is fuel? So it is a substance which combustion is to be combustible is also a fuel, and the fuel may be solid, liquid or gas. In the reactions mentioned about the magnesium and charcoal are combustion substance. So magnesium and the charcoal, these are the different two objects which we can use as a combustion substance. You might have heard that when the clothes of the person catch fires, the person is covered with a blanket or extinguish fire. Can you guess why? You might have seen the experience in the movie also or in the real life also. When the person is basically come into the fire, catch the fire, we normally use the blanket or some other kind of material to cover it. So does a matchstick burn by itself? No, matchsticks cannot burn by itself. What? That we'll see later in this chapter. How does it burn? Can you burn a piece of wood by bringing a lighted matchstick near it? Yes. Why do you have to use paper of the kerosene oil to start the fire in wood or coal? All these questions we'll see the answer detailed in this chapter. As you can see, a person is basically burning, so we normally covered with the blanket. Have you heard of forest fire? Of course, you might have seen in the news also. Nowadays, there are various kind of the forest fires are there in the world, and which is little bit dangerous and few kilometers long, and it cannot be basically completed within 1 or 2 days. It may continue for the 4 or 5 weeks also. During the extreme heat, so how does the forest fire basically evolve? During the extreme heat of the summer, at some place, dry grasses catch fire. From the grasses is sprayed to trees, and very soon the whole forest in the fire. It is very difficult to control such this kind of the fires. It takes too much long time to extinguish it. You can see in this movie, this is the one of the example, and the picture you can see in the screen. Do this experience tell you that different substance catch fire at different temperature? Of course, yes. That means you know that if the matchsticks is there at the room temperature, it won't catch the fire automatically. To fire the matchsticks, we have to rub with the rough surface. Correct? Yeah. So the lowest temperature at which a substance that is catch fire is called the ignition temperature. That means the substance which is basically catch the fire in the lowest temperature, that is called ignition temperature. We find that combustion substance cannot catch fire or burn as long as its temperature is lower than its ignition temperature. So what is ignition temperature? That means some materials require minimum temperature to burn it. That means, for example, we are taking about the matchstick. Matchsticks require some temperature. That means we rub it, some temperature will be produced in it, and the matchsticks will get the fire. Clear? So some substance require some temperature, and if the temperature is lower than the substance, it cannot ignite. Have you ever seen cooking oil catch fire when a frying pan is kept for the long on the burning stove? Might have, yes. Kerosene oil and wood do not catch fire on their own at room temperature. As you know that if the kerosene is there or the some edible oil are there in the room, it cannot catch fire automatically. But if kerosene oil is heated a little, it will catch fire. That means kerosene oil is also required some temperature to fire it. It cannot fire in the normal room temperature. It will catches fire. But if wood is heated a little, it would still not catch fire. That means to fire the wood, it required more temperature. You can see that. So wood is not automatically fire, and when we light it, wood is not fire immediately. It will take some time because it requires some more temperature to fire the wood. The following activity shows that it is essential for a substance to reach ignition temperature to burn. The substance which have very low ignition temperature and can easily catch fire with a flame are called inflammable substance. This word inflammable substance you might have seen on the highway, who's basically carry the different petrol or diesel or some kind of inflammable materials into that. There are big containers and the big cylindrical truck is going basically on the highway. You might have seen highly inflammable, kindly keep your vehicles away. Clear? So if we go very much near and if there is an accident, so there will be some blast over there. Example of inflammable substance are petrol, alcohol, liquefied petroleum gas, that is called LPG, etc. This you have already used in the day-to-day life. Petrol we use that, alcohol you might have seen, and LPG which we are using in our gas cylinder. So how do we control fire? These are all the inflammable materials, and fire is, you know that this is the dangerous things. So we must have to know the control the fire, how we have to control that. There are different kind of the examples and the different kind of the theories are there to control it. As you know that this is one example of that. When the firefighters are going to be just try to stop the fire, what do they do basically? We'll see that. When firefighters comes, they pours water on the fires as shown in the figure. Water cools the combustion material so that its temperature is brought below its ignition temperature. That means when we pour the water, what will happen? The temperature is going to be down, and if the temperature is going to be down, the fire will automatically close. This prevents the fire from the spreading, and water vapors also surrounded the combustion material, helping in cutting off the supply of air, so the fire is extinguished. So this is the most important point, because as you know that fire requires oxygen. If the water vapor surrounded the combustion material, what will happen? It will stop to just supply the air. That means the fire will not get the oxygen and the fire will be extinguished. Thank you.